I'm really excited to talk to you guys today, and I'm not just saying that because that would be the right thing to say when you stand up in front of people, but because there's so many young people, and that is so awesome. I just love being an entrepreneur, and I love entrepreneurialism, and I love encouraging it. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my journey and hopefully give you a few tips and things as well. But first up, I'd love to know where you're all at. So how many of you here have just got a business idea but haven't started anything yet? Idea people? Quite a few ideas. My boy over here has lots of ideas. Who here has just started? It's quite new, but you're up and running. So what is it, under a year or something like that? Yeah? Under a year? Well, look, couple of months, cool. Who here's a few years in? Cool. All right, so that's pretty interesting. We've got a big spectrum. And can I get some ideas of what sorts of businesses you're in? You want to shout them out? What sorts of businesses? Don't be shy. I'm interactive. Sorry, you have to do stuff. What sorts of businesses? Health? Yep. Nanny agency, cool. What else? Art? Very good. What's your 2-month one in? Socks, cool. Following in the Mr. Kardashian steps, maybe? Yeah. You know, he has socks as well. Okay, cool. Matisse, can you click? Oh, actually, first, I'll tell you why I've got this on screen. Some people would have you believe that being in business is heaps of fun and you pretty much pull a lever and then you're really successful and really rich and it's going to be really fun. And that things are just going to present to themselves. And if you just meet the right people, you just get the right advice, it's all going to happen for you. My spin on all of it, and you'll hear different opinions along the way, is you create your own opportunities. So pretty much the theme I think you'll hear from today is that everything I've done, I've created myself. I haven't waited for someone to give it to me. It hasn't just happened. Lots of hard work, but I've also gone looking, and I've also got an entrepreneurial mindset, which you probably already have if you're in this room, but you've got to harness that all the time in terms of always looking for an opportunity and how to make a better deal and how to make it win-win for both of the parties involved and all that kind of stuff. Here's where my story started. This is my corner store. There's lots of graffiti, lots of people that didn't have much money, lots of cultures, and I grew up in a town called Wellington, New Zealand, which is the capital. Grew up right near the beach. I was actually ocean swimming this morning already. I really love the beach still. So yeah, I don't know, both my parents were not entrepreneurs at all. One was a teacher and my mum stayed home with us and looked after us. There were 3 kids under 5, poor lady, don't know how she did it. And then she started working part-time while I was at school. So who here is an entrepreneur but parents are not? And not really sure because you can't talk to them about it. Yeah, so I feel your pain because I'm the same. Okay, this gives you an idea of just how multicultural where I grew up was. Can you see me? Which one am I? No, don't you say, you know. But you can see we had Vietnamese, we had Pitcairn Islands, we had Samoan, Tongan, Maori, Greek. You know, you get the picture, right? Chinese, Indian, and everything in between, which is cool. Yeah, it's me in the pink, always at the front near the end because I'm small. Okay, this is Wellington, New Zealand. So I left home at 17, actually. At that time, I wasn't getting along too well with my parents. I don't know if any of you can relate to that. So the first boy asked me to move in with him. I did. I never went to university because I had no parents to pay for me to go to university. I wasn't speaking to them. The thing I needed to do was get money so I could pay for the flat I was now renting and to get food to eat. So the first job I applied for, it was a phone interview and I had to leave a message on the phone, which is a bit daunting if you're not that good on the phone. And I was very shy, believe it or not. And it was with a recording studio in Wellington, New Zealand called Marmalade. So I actually was lucky enough to get that job, front of house, reception, and I started hanging out with all the top musicians and advertising execs and really fun people of the time. So that brought me out of my shell because they were complete extroverts, and if I hadn't have done that, I just literally would have melted into the wall. I then applied for a job with the about 8 months after that, the New Zealand government, which is the equivalent of the Australian Sports Commission. It's called the Hillary Commission then. And I ended up getting the job. I was really lucky they took a chance on me because really I'm straight out of school. I hadn't gone to uni. I had no credentials, just a nice smile and being polite. And they hired me. So I worked alongside a guy called Sir Edmund Hillary. Don't know if you've heard of him. He's a pretty famous guy. Do you guys know who he is? A lot of the young people don't now, hey? He's the first guy to climb Mount Everest, which is the tallest mountain in the world, and he did it in 1952. when they didn't have all the technology and equipment to do that. So it was a pretty amazing feat, and he's well known for just overcoming such a huge thing. So yeah, I worked there for 3 years. All my friends went to uni. Of course, I'd go party with them. But funny thing was, when they all graduated, they had $30,000 debt, and I had $10,000 in the bank. So I was $40,000 ahead of them. Now, I'm not saying don't go to university, not at all, okay? If you think it's going to help you and you need to go on a path to do something, then do it. But what I hope I can show you is that sometimes you just end up taking different paths. That's where your life takes you, and you can still make stuff happen. So I managed to do that. So here they were coming out of university and saying, can you give me a job? And I'm going, yeah, you can do the photocopying. And meanwhile, I'm off doing the fun stuff and with all the media and the sports celebrities of New Zealand at the time. This is Sir Edmund Hillary. Is he now a bit more familiar? Seen his face? No? Oh well. I'm still keeping him alive because he's not with us anymore. But he said, people do not decide to become extraordinary, they decide to accomplish extraordinary things. So that's something I want to make sure you're all clear on from the start as well. No one's going to say, you're going to be amazing and you know, I'm going to help you make it happen. You just have to decide for yourself that you want to make stuff happen, okay? So, I'm 21 years old. I have $10,000 in the bank. I have 5 surfer boys that I hang out with a lot at the beach where I grew up. And we decided to go to London via Indonesia with lots of surfing, which I'm going to next week and I'm pretty excited about. So for the next 7 years, I spent in London working mainly in media, marketing and PR roles. I also worked waitressing just for fun, just to get new skills, and I basically travelled a lot as well. So I would live for a year or a year and a half and then travel for a whole year around the world trip. Actually, during that time while I was there, I created an opportunity, and I think you guys will like this one, so I'll share it. Out of 7 years of experiences, here's a cool one. I was working at the time for a magazine called TNT, and it's pretty much the Bible for all the people who go to London who need to find a job and accommodation and all that kind of stuff. And I saw that STA Travel, they're still around, they had a person who was blogging around the world. But I could tell it was a travel agent. I looked at it and I thought, this is boring writing. I could do better than this, or so I thought. It's a bit bold. So anyway, I went to their direct competitor called Use at Campus, and I said, I can see that your competitor are doing this. They weren't even aware of it. And blogging wasn't a big thing then. This is 2002. I reckon I can do a better job than that. I'm your target market. I'm a professional journalist, and I want to go around the world, and I want you to pay for me to go around the world and write about the experiences I have. 4 meetings, and I got that ticket. Free round the world ticket. How good's that? This is before that guy in the Whitsundays is getting the best job in the world and that whole advertising campaign, well before. I got this camera, which I look back and laugh because it had literally a floppy disk, and I'd pull it out and stick it into computers and internet cafes to send the images off. But all I had to do was send 400 words a week and 4 images of where I was. So that was pretty cool. Would that excite you, getting something like that? So how did I make that happen? I just asked for a meeting. No one told me to. I just dug out who I should talk to, and I gave them compelling reasons as to why, and it happened. So our boy Rio here is born across the bridge from London, and then I ended up here 10 years ago. Matisse was born down the road from the big pineapple. So people joke to me that maybe I like having babies near big icons, and there's the next one there, the big banana, but we're all done, there's no next ones. But so we've very happily settled here on the Sunshine Coast. Came here because my family's actually all here, not New Zealand anymore. When I was 17 and still at school, I actually created my first business. So I created a newspaper business. Why? Because my dad came to me, he was a teacher at my school, and he said, look, this newspaper's from Auckland, New Zealand, it's all about sport. Why don't we make one for Wellington? And I remember going, God, Dad, I've done 1 term of journalism, I can't do that. But then I started going, hang on a minute, I could make some money out of this. And I don't know about you guys and if you're driven by money, but when I was 17, I was pretty driven by money. Any extra cash was good. So I basically started putting this newspaper together. I pulled all my friends in from around my school, and we would literally, back then, it wasn't done all on computers. Well, it was, but then you would print it out on a bromide, cut it up, stick it on. I'm making myself sound really old, aren't I? It's crazy. This is not that long ago, really. Anyway, the first issue, I ended up going around in my little red Mini I drove and dropping off the bundles myself to each of the about 40 high schools in my area. And the kids loved it because it was by kids, for kids. And actually, I'd love to see more of that stuff here on the coast. I mean, I don't see a lot of stuff, like I can't believe our university doesn't have a publication or a radio station, for instance. Just to hear that youth voice and that fresh perspective, I think is really important in a society. So that was my first one. I get this call after the first issue from an American guy going, "You've stolen my idea." And I'm going, "How can I have stolen your idea? I don't even know who you are." And it turns out that he had been planning for a couple of years a very similar product, a newspaper about sport for secondary schools in Wellington. So anyway, I found myself at 17 sitting around a boardroom table cutting a deal with him. And when I look back, it was a really bad deal. I actually spent some time in Silicon Valley last year, which is where Facebook and LinkedIn and all those great companies are. And I met a guy there who told me businesses are a lot like pancakes. You stuff the first one up. And I thought, yeah, that's my pancake, because pretty much I didn't do a financial deal. I did a deal where he would pay me a wage for the rest of the year. And he ended up being a little bit crazy. He would throw desks and things when he wasn't happy. So I pretty much ended that year and left that business. And that was the end of my first business. But, you know, lesson learned. By the time I was 26, yeah, is that right? About then, 23, 26, my entrepreneurial brain was going. But through all of this time, no one had actually said to me, "You are an entrepreneur," and I didn't even know that word. And it certainly wasn't something while you're at school that teachers say, "You know what, why don't you try entrepreneurialism?" All they seem to tell you, have you guys all had this experience, is go to university or TAFE, get a job, and go and work for somebody. Is that still the case? Yeah, see, I think that's crazy. Anyway, started an online t-shirt business. Anyone in the business of fashion here or want to be? Oh, we got t-shirts? Yep, and we've got socks. What else have we got? Bikinis, cool. Well, online clothing is, yeah, definitely something you can do. What I found were the challenges in that were got to have so much different stock. So I had 4 designs, 4 colours, and then all the different sizes. So if you actually add up those variables, there's quite a few. And I would go, okay, so white power t-shirts are really popular. I'll do a big run of them next summer. But no, they weren't popular. The other one was popular. So I love the on-demand thing for that, because I'd end up with a lot of stock in my wardrobes. But that business I started in London. I ran it from around the world. I was in an internet cafe in Argentina when I found out I won a website award, and that I'd got some government funding, because I just loved my idea. So that's all possible. And 4 years later, this is a thing a lot of entrepreneurs have in common, I got bored of that business, so I decided to sell it. And that's something else you can do. You might not think what you're doing is very valuable, but you are building value if you are building a database and building web traffic and building an online community. If you have regular customers, if you have stock, this is all goodwill. This adds up to a certain amount of money. So in that case, I'm pretty candid. I sold that business for $14,000. So it's not huge money, but I'd started it from zero. And, you know, would you guys like to cash out with $14,000? I mean, you totally could do that. So for me, that was cool. At that time of my life, I did up my kitchen with that $14,000 and moved on. So anyway, that's the entrepreneurial 2 businesses I hadn't mentioned. The pancake and the cashed out with 5 figures, not too bad. Next up is this business that most people probably know me for, the Creative Collective. So I love being just really honest and real. I don't necessarily have to say all the good stuff. I'm going to tell you like the basic stuff on where I started as well. So that little person there is that little person there. I don't usually bring these guys, but it's school holidays, so they're hanging out with me. Oh, look at her, she's doing the whole... So Matisse was literally 7 weeks old, and Rio, a 3-year-old terror running around the house, when I decided to start this business. Why did I start it? Well, as you heard, I'd worked in magazines and newspapers and all this kind of stuff, and I'd had these 2 babies now, and I'm pretty stuck at home, and I needed to generate income. My partner at the time was earning $14 an hour cleaning cars, so there was no way we could eat or pay the mortgage on that, and I had previously been the one earning the big money, had the time out, just short, brief, to have the children, and needed to get earning the money again. Since then, mind you, he's gone and trained as a builder, and he's now working on the hospital, earning great money, so that's he's certainly put in some hard yards there. The business, when I started it, don't know about you guys, you know, you're saying you're at early stages. Pretty much to be in business, all I had was a business card and that sign, that A3 sign that had the Creative Collective on it. And that was my only staff member, Matisse. You're my creative director, because you pretty much told me when to work and how much work and what quality work I would be doing, depending on the breastfeeding and the sleepless nights and so on. I also created a website. One of the first things I did, and this is a good tip and it could be a good idea for some of you, is I actually created a survey and I asked people at the time, what do you want in terms of the services I offer? So do you need a website? How much would you be prepared to pay? Bunches of stuff. Do you do online marketing at the moment? What do you do? And I threw it out to everyone I could, and I actually used a company locally called My Sunshine Coast to help me get the word out. Well, I got 100 respondents to that survey, and they ended up becoming pretty much my first customers because they'd given me all their data about what they needed, and I went through and I prioritised, and the ones that said they had more money than others I went to first. And I pretty much went, I can see here you need a new website. Would you like to meet and have a discussion about that? And in the early days, I did that stuff for free. That's something I wouldn't necessarily recommend because if you offer a service, does anyone here offer a service? Nope. All product-based? Okay. What's your service? Software? Okay, as a service. It may or may not be relevant in your case, what I was about to say, but it's if you do offer your service as a consultant or something, if you go and give their time, they'll take your time and you'll run all over town doing a lot of free consultancy and have no money coming in. And then people don't value you. So these days we always charge and have done for a long time. And actually we get feedback to this day, well, the other company down the road don't charge for an initial consult or an initial meeting. And we say, well, sorry, you can go with them because we're going to give you value from the get-go. Our time's invested from the get-go. We put together proposals and things, and you can take that stuff and try and do it yourself or give it to someone else. But we have given you our time and our expertise at that point, so you need to pay for it. So that's something I learned. What else did I do to get clients early on? I did networking. It was hard though because the kids were pretty young. I couldn't go to breakfast. I couldn't go to lunch functions. I did a lot of business networking on LinkedIn actually. How many of you are on LinkedIn? A few of you? Cool. You all need to get on LinkedIn, okay? It's free. It's a business network for professionals and you need to start making connections. Even if it's your mum and dad's friends or someone you've done work experience with or someone you are working for or your schoolmates, contacts go a long way. Like I learnt that really on because I was a journalist and it was all about who could you get the story from an interview and who knew who to get to the big band that was coming to town or whatever it may be. But LinkedIn is the same. It's pretty much an online Rolodex and you can get anybody that you want to get in contact with. So this week I emailed the managing director of Microsoft, Pip Marlowe. Why not? You can. And I asked her to come and speak at an event for me next year. So she might. She's put me on to someone. So the sky's the limit. You just got to dream up who would be my ideal person to do business with and start trying to make those deals happen. Okay. Are we getting some tips so far? Cool. This is another tip of what I did just 6 months after starting my business. And you might say that's a bit bold, but I threw my hat in to enter some business awards. Now, this business award's actually open right now. They're called the Small Business Champions Awards. There is a young entrepreneur category. There's also, I think, an emerging business. So you can be, just starting. They're a bit of work to do these things, but guess what? I was not expecting this, seriously. I'm only 6 months into business. I had the sign and, I had a few clients, but really not a huge amount of money coming in. And I won Young Entrepreneur of the Year for Queensland in that particular business awards. So after that happened, this happened. I got an email saying, would you like to be on television? We've gone through all the winners of the awards and we think you've got a really great story. There was about 5 or 6 of us they thought had a really great story. So the TV cameras came in and they filmed us for most of the day to get a 5-minute clip. That's what TV's all about. And I'd actually forgotten that I'd done it. That happened in the October. And then about the January, when you come back from your holidays and you might be just easing into it, well, that's what I thought I was doing. The phones were going nuts and just all these people wanting to do business with me. And I ended up saying, how did you hear about us? Which is an important question to ask for any inquiry. And because then you know which marketing's working. Did the expo work or did something else work? And they were all saying television. I thought, that TV piece must have aired. Now, that TV piece didn't just go on Channel 9. It also went on all the Qantas in-flight TV and all the Vodafone, all because I'd entered an award and was lucky enough to win. So you guys could all do that, right? And that's thousands of dollars worth of publicity right there. I then went, wow, that was pretty cool. I think business awards kind of work as a marketing strategy. I mean, it's pretty easy. I didn't advertise in a newspaper and get no inquiries and I've lost my money. I just put my time into putting together an application, right? So I thought I'll do another one and I thought I'll go to the top. So I actually entered the International Women in Business Awards, was my next entry in the following year, 2008. And you know what? I became a finalist and I got to go to New York. And I got to meet 400 of the world's top businesswomen and network with them. And I ended up nightclubbing with the CEO of the whole organisation. And I said to him, how do you even promote these awards? And because I found it on an American website, he said, I need someone down there. Do you want to do it? So I have ended up being promoting the International Business Awards, International Business Women's Awards, and bunches of other awards for the last 5 years now, and I get a real kick out of helping other people to go ahead and enter these and do all right. And Australia's the International Women in Business Awards have just come out 2 weeks ago, and there's quite a few Aussies that did quite well, so it's pretty cool. So around this time, things were getting pretty busy because I didn't have money to necessarily pay people, so I started going to the uni and the TAFEs and saying, are there any people who'd like to do work experience? And my house got pretty busy. This is not my house, but you get the picture. So I was finding I had people working on my kitchen bench and on my outdoor setting and in my lounge, and things were just getting crazy. I had a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house in Maroochydore, and the kids were running around as well. So I ended up saying to my partner, we need a bigger house and I need to have room for the business. So we moved into a bigger house and had the office downstairs and staff up, living upstairs. And by sort of 2010, there were 5 people working for me from home in Maroochydore, and lots of contractors. I'm not just putting all these awards up to go, aren't I clever? I'm doing it to say they work really well for me as a marketing strategy. And also some people go, I'm not ready. I haven't, not earning that much. I still work from home. I couldn't possibly enter these awards. I'm here to say that I actually won a Telstra Businesswomen's Awards, which are huge. Like they have 4,000 entries. When I was still working from home, my turnover at that point was about $300,000, which might sound like a lot, but it's not in the scheme of other businesses you're up against. And I was lucky enough to win at that as well. So go and do it. And off the back of that, I got a 3-day, all expenses paid retreat to Byron Bay with 100 of Australia's top businesswomen. Last year, because of my connections to Commonwealth Bank through these awards, I got to go to Silicon Valley. So these are opportunities I just would never have had I not entered these awards. And there's lots of awards for young people, and in fact, the people I deal with, there's some that are like 30, under 30. They struggle to get people because there's not that many under 30s who are running businesses. So if you enter them, you've got a really high chance. So I moved the business out of home in 2011 and into this warehouse. Actually bought the warehouse, which feels kind of nice to be your own landlord. So I can stick pictures up, I can have graffiti artists in, I can have drinks and parties, and not worry about what the landlord thinks. And through the GFC, it worked out pretty well because I wasn't paying more rent and having worries like that. I could up it or down it depending on what the business was doing. And then the most recent big award was last year, which was the IT Woman of the Year for Australia, which was a huge one as well. And I'm now really involved in the IT industry, both nationally and locally. In fact, tonight it is at a bar, so I don't know the legalities of that, but we have a group called Silicon Coast, like Silicon Valley, but Silicon Coast, and there's 130 people coming, and they're all very digital, techie, entrepreneurial type people. So if you're interested in that, get on the Silicon Coast Facebook group. It's free. Just jump on. Ask people questions. Don't be afraid to say, I'm stuck on this with WordPress, or does anyone know someone who can help with 3D animation? Someone was asking yesterday, and we all try and help each other and connect to one another. And there are some phenomenal people based here. There's a guy up at Noosa, and he just sold his company for hundreds of millions of dollars, a tech company, and he's based at Noosa. So you just got to dig these people out who are potentially very good mentors. And in fact, a lot of them say to me, Yvette, I want to be a mentor. So I'm happy to connect you to those guys if you're interested. Okay, so I do run the Creative Collective now, but I actually run 2 other companies now, just to make sure you know how entrepreneurial I am. I can't help myself. So I used to have Creative Collective basically does websites and digital marketing. So we do social media and search engine optimization and pay-per-click and consultancy and stuff like that. We had a training division as well, but start of this year I decided to split the company in 2 and take the services division and take on a business partner for that and keep the training collective side for myself. So we over here help people all over Australia and even in New Zealand get digital skills. And here's the thing I'd like to tell you as well. you need digital skills. Some of you are probably quite savvy because of the age demographic you are, but the more you can learn about coding, websites, graphic design, search engine optimization and stuff like that yourself, the better off you will be, because otherwise you're going to have to pay someone to do that stuff. And even if you have to pay someone to do that stuff, or a mate's doing it, you need to understand enough to get to direct them so that they know what they're doing, right? So you get a good result. Because I hear all the time, oh, that website guy ripped me off. Oh, my website's taken ages. You know, I'm paying all this money. I'm still not at the top of Google. I don't understand. You've got to get some more knowledge on board so you do understand, and so you can drive them to get results that are realistic as well, or do it yourself. So that's why we're so passionate over here about teaching it. The thing is, guys, with being an entrepreneur in your own business, you can have the best socks. They're so comfy, they're so warm, that they look awesome, but if nobody knows about them, you're not going to sell any socks, are they? So for me, marketing is a really, really important piece. The product is important, the customer service is important, yes, but marketing is extremely important. It can make or break a business. You know, I've talked to a couple of businesses this week, because I do a lot through Creative Collective. Let me give you an example. Thank you. A guy down in Caloundra. I won't say what he does, but he's in Caloundra. His website has been the same for 6 years. We actually did it, and it's not mobile friendly. The email doesn't work, and he never thought to ring us and say, so we didn't know it wasn't working for him. He has no inquiry form on there. He doesn't index anywhere on Google because he didn't think to say to us either, I'd like to get higher on Google. And he came and had a moan about how this company in Sydney are doing way better than him. And I looked at what was going on. I said, I know exactly what to do to make you better than that company in Sydney. And he's going to pay me to do it, so that's good. But he didn't sort of place a priority on that. He's just sat with his business not doing very well, wondering why. And I know I can change it if he just lets me do it. So yeah, it's really important, that stuff. Oh, and the other one is Awards Hub, a third business, which is where we find business awards for people to enter. We have a product that's $200, and we'll find you a list of all the awards that would suit you after getting you to fill in a questionnaire. And then we actually enter you into them. So we've got clients in Dubai and Melbourne, Sydney, and we do their business awards. I've got one lady, she just keeps coming back. She loves it because she wins all the time when we do them. So we've got 2 more from her this week to do, which is cool. She's a very amazing lady too. So that's pretty much my story. Let's get into, I guess, the challenges and the sort of entrepreneurial journey and what you can expect, or what I've found anyway. I arrived to Australia in 2004 with a backpack, a baby boy, my partner had a guitar, and we had a cot, and that was it. I didn't have any contacts, didn't have a pot or a spoon or a fridge or anything like that, and so I had to start from zero. So I would just recommend, like, whoever it is you meet, you just never know when you might need to do business with them, or just use them for your services so you can run their business. Say a plumber, like, keep their details, so if you have a plumbing problem you can sort that and not be wasting your time, your valuable business time, ringing around getting someone, and you can just get that same person back. I just love getting my little black book of my A-game people who I go to, and if they ever cross me or don't work out, they're off the list and I get someone else on there. And I'm happy to share some of those contacts with you as well. My other challenge was no cash. So I've never had a bank loan. I've never got money from someone to start the business or build the business or anything like that. Some businesses, and in fact in Silicon Valley a lot, that's exactly what they do. They loan millions of dollars. And I got to ask these people, do you worry? Like, do you not sleep at night at all? But no, they're quite happy to do that, and they just go for it though. There is a lot of pressure on them once they do get money in. Now again, I do know of people on the coast who do fund some businesses, but you have to be savvy. You'd have to put together a really solid business plan and have really thought about it, perhaps got some mentoring to kind of get that to a good stage where people might be interested in investing. But again, that Silicon Coast group I talked about, play in those sort of circles, and there are people who will give you money. But you can do it all without money. You just got to be really resourceful, which is what I've been. So yeah, the right team, apart from tradies and all that sort of stuff, the most obvious ones you're going to need for business is a good lawyer, a good accountant, and maybe even a business coach or mentor. So business coaches typically charge, mentors typically don't. Mentors typically don't say, you should do this. They will say, well, what do you think? And what have you looked at? And they'll ask you questions to help you come to your own answer. And sometimes the answer is within you. Usually it is. But you need to kind of talk to someone to talk it out to make it come out. Business coaches, on the other hand, are more likely to say, you should do this, you should do that. I'm going to put you into contact and this is what you're going to do. So it depends how, I guess, you like to work. Yeah, they're the big three that you really need. Managing staff has been a challenge for me, finding good staff and looking, making them perform, and, they have moments where they have children and they have illness and there's all sorts of stuff. They're part of your family, so you work through those issues. At the start, I couldn't even afford all the subscriptions I needed for technology. If you want to run an essentially online business, you need to pay a lot in subscriptions, I find. So right now I pay about $600 and all these different things I use, social media tools and all sorts of tools, but I guess that is a small cost in some ways to having a full IT department per year. But there's pros and cons with that. You might need to pay to save yourself some time and get better results as well. And time has always been a challenge. Who here feels like they don't have enough time to dedicate to their business? Yeah, that's a big one for most people, even, the big guys. If time is a challenge, which it normally is, I highly recommend Google Calendar. It's free. This is my calendar. It looks crazy. But if you are running a family, I have the kids' calendar, so I know where they've got care and where they've got sport and all that kind of stuff. I actually share calendars with my close friends as well. So when they're going, let's go out for a drink, I'm going, well, I can see you're free Friday, so am I, let's do it. I also share my calendar with my staff and contractors because I don't want to call them and go, when can we have a chat about that website? I want to go, bang, they're available, and I'm going to book that time. And I book time with myself. I will go, I need to write that proposal. I reckon it's going to take me 2 hours, and I will go, there's a gap, bang, it's going in there. So this might sound really regimented, and it does at the start. You might hate it because you're not used to doing it. But after you start doing it, you'll wonder, how did you cope without it? This is how you be professional, guys, as well, because if you ever find you turn up late, you get the time wrong, you forgot about it completely, you've got to be doing this, yeah? And it syncs with your phone. And I also use this in tandem. This is another little trick I've learned along the way. There's a system, it's a bit of a funny name, called doodle.com. Now when people say, can I have an appointment with you? I won't give this out unless I'm happy to have an appointment with that person, but I'll say, sure, here's my calendar. I don't give them this, I give them doodle.com / my, suffix, and then they can't see all of this, but they can see busy, 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 and they can see the gaps. So it stops all the back forth to schedule an appointment. I just say, here's it available, they pick a time, and it's done. There's no more need. That's kind of like my own PA that manages all that doodle thing. Is this helpful? Yeah, got to get Google Calendar. Put everything in. Put the gym in. Put the dinner out with your friends. Put when you're going to work on your business. Put the job you've got. And it actually helps you look at your life bird's eye view and go, wow, I've actually only got 4 hours to work on my business this week. You realise how little time you have. So you make it count when you do. This may or may not be an opportunity for you guys, but leveraging your time. So also if time is short, I've got really resourceful, especially at the start. I've had a lot of work experience, students and interns. So I think it would be perfectly fine for you guys as well to approach the TAFE or uni and say, I've got a business, I want to get some interns who want to work on the same business, or go and hang out at things like startup weekends and find other people that are interested in what you are, and they might want to come on board and be part of your business. So right now, Rio's got friends in Brisbane who are texting him, asking him to be part of their business, and they're working virtually on concepts, right, Rio? Yeah. What are you? What's your role? Marketing. For which, what's it called?
Ideally Now.
Ideally Now. And what does it do? First meeting this weekend, isn't it? Yeah. Matisse has a website too, and very entrepreneurial. Do you want to tell them about it?
I don't really know much about it.
Even though you worked on it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a little while ago, isn't it? It's like half your life ago, because it was 6 months ago. Okay, so these are things I've used. Have you guys heard of VAs, virtual assistants? They're pretty good. You can go onto sites like freelancer.com, guru.com, there's stacks of those websites, and you can find people to help you with a project. So say there's just this little thing you need done, you don't know how to do it, or you just don't have time, go and pay someone. So I have a VA, I have several actually. I have one in the Philippines, she works for $6.50 an hour. Now, I don't feel bad about doing that because I also hire 5 people who I pay a lot more than that, and then I also have 30 contractors that I pay very high fees to. But if it's just a little job you need done once, it's great. So she might do a database cleanse for me, or she might clear out my Facebook and LinkedIn and send them all an automated message to say, can you remind Yvette remind me how we know each other, because I won't just accept anybody in those circles. Does that make sense? Can you all think of things that you could actually potentially outsource? Yep. So VAs are good. I've also used contractors, so that is where you pay for someone's services and you say, okay, Rio, you're good at graphic design, I will pay you this much per hour and I want this task done. So this girl here, I'll tell you a story. Some of these people turn into pretty amazing people for your business. She started off with me as an intern from Sunshine Coast University of Sunshine Coast. She was so good, I ended up saying, Kat, I love your stuff. I'm happy to pay for you now because you've shown me what your skills are and got to know the company. So let's become a contractor. She then ended up going to Newcastle because her brother had a head injury. And then she came to me and said, Yvette, would you mentor me? I'm thinking of starting my own business. You've ruined me. I'm an entrepreneur. I can't work for anyone else ever again. And I said, I would love to, but I'm so time poor, I don't know when I would do that, and I don't think you'd get the best out of me. We kept talking, and anyway, we came up with, why don't we start a franchise? So that's what we did. So from 2009, she was my Newcastle franchisee. I've since had other franchisees on the Gold Coast. I had lots of inquiries for it. I was very fussy, so I never got a lot of them. But actually, at the start of this year, I killed that model, and she is the person who came on board as my business partner. So how crazy is that for a journey? You know, intern, contractor, franchisee, and now business partner. 50% stake in the creative collective. Pretty cool, hey? I wanted to point out, though, you might leave here going, oh, this is awesome, and I'm going to be an entrepreneur, and I'm going to use Google Calendar, and I'm going to make all this money, it's going to be great. Just that life can still be chaotic. This is Matisse's room. Sometimes I come home, and I'm like, I've got so much work to do, and I've got to get into that tonight, and I'll face something like this. I know, the guinea pig got set loose in the bedroom, and they were trying to find it, so that's what happened. Keep going. Just keeping it real. So I talked about I went to Silicon Valley last year, right? And I thought I'd talk to you guys a bit about this because it was a really cool trip and hopefully it'll be a bit inspiring and give you a bit of a foresight as to what trends and things are coming. So have you all heard of Silicon Valley? Yeah? Some people shaking their heads. Some of my girlfriends said, are you going to get work done? Because I thought Silicon meant getting a boob job. But it's not. And I don't need a boob job, clearly. You fly into San Francisco. And to travel down here, it's like flying into Brisbane and travelling to Sunshine Coast. It's about an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on where in Silicon Valley you want to go. Now, what makes this place amazing is that most of the world's big top tech companies are based there. So you've got Facebook, you've got LinkedIn, you've got Google, you've got Apple, the list goes on. So I went with Commonwealth Bank, and I went for 2 weeks. The first week was 5 days of their study tour, and we went to 11 different companies. I'll tell you which ones in a minute. There were 11 women and 1 male driver, and that's him there, poor guy. Look at him, he's like, yeah. Okay, these are the companies we went to. Some of them you might have heard of, some of them you might not. My tip here is keep your mind open for everything and anything in entrepreneurialism. I'll admit, I went in with a bad attitude to some of these. Le Concierge, it was the last one of the day. It was day 4, and I was tired, and I was like, what is this company? Oh, shall I just go home? This is what was going on in my head. Went in there. Turns out this woman has raised $255 million. She was a Kiwi. We got on like a house on fire. Ended up cruising around San Francisco in her Porsche. And now, wherever I am in the world, we end up hooking up, and she's just an awesome mentor and contact. She actually gave Jack Dorsey from Twitter his first job. She knows the Clintons. She's just very well connected. And her company, basically they're the PA to some of the world's biggest CEOs. So when the big CEOs, I don't know, get stuck in Turkey, maybe on holiday, they don't ring their PA to sort out the rental car that's broken down, they ring her. Or when they want tickets to the Yankees that are sold out, they ring her company, and they get those things sorted out for them. IBM you would have heard of, LinkedIn, and Embarcadero Partners, you probably haven't heard of them, but they do branding, and they're branding some of the biggest companies in the world, like Levi and Coca-Cola and companies like that. So super impressive stuff as well. This guy here, he's an Aussie. He started a company called Business Catalyst, which is a website platform, and I'd used that platform from 2009, and he actually sold it for $110 million to Adobe. So really interesting to talk to him about why he sold it and what he thought of it since then, and super nice, down-to-earth guy. He now helps a lot of startups over there. There's actually a place you can go to called Startup Mate, and he he started that, and you can go and work at a desk for free, and then there's access to mentors and all that kind of stuff over there. It's an incredible environment for startups. In short, I mean, there's so much I could tell you about that whole trip, but there's smart-ass teams building kick-ass products in a big-ass market. So there's 355 million people in America, and if you could sell your product or service to only 1%, that's a lot of sales kind of thing. But they are smart, and they are building kick-ass. One little magic number they talked about for startups was 3 sort of founders, and having a marketing person, a business person, and a technical person. And if you can put those 3 together, you've got magic, haven't you? Because you've got most of the bases covered. So give yourself consideration to which one of those are you. Are you good at marketing? Are you good at technical? Or are you the business savvy person, good with numbers and plans and projections and stuff like that? And if you don't, whichever one you are, you need the other 2, okay? When they're building kick-ass products, they're going really fast. So this is Eventbrite. Do you guys know that company? You might have gone on to Eventbrite and booked an event at some stage. This is the figure in their reception, $1.260 million that morning is what money they'd made. And that went up by about 80,000, something like that, in the 15 minutes we were inside the reception area. This is the jobs they're hiring there, and this is what really woke me up to the opportunity of getting savvy with digital and the need for digital literacy. So if you actually look at these, there are communications and marketing and all this kind of stuff. There's also a lot of software engineer and engineer roles. Now, that to us is a programmer, a coder, same thing, right? So if you guys have those skills, there is an enormous amount of opportunities to work over there. At the moment, they're hiring a lot from America and Philippines because there's not enough people on the ground there that can do these things. And they're offering, $2,500 and $5,000 if you refer someone with those skills that they end up hiring. That's how bad they want them. That's the offices. So just like you might have heard or seen in movies, they really do have dogs come into the office. They really do have free food. They really do have lazy boys. You can work anywhere, lots of cool areas. They have gyms. They have all sorts of things, and it's all free. They have slides. Yes, they have slides. There's the free food at Facebook. Help yourself. It's healthy, it's junk, it's hot food, it's cold food, it's drinks and fizzy, everything, whatever you want free. That's on the Facebook courtyard. So every Friday, every 2 Fridays, Mark Zuckerberg actually has a meeting out there with everybody, and it's like a press conference but for internal, and they get to ask him whatever they want about what's going on in the company, when's the such and such getting fixed, or what's happening with this development or project. And he actually, which I thought was really cool leadership, challenges them to ask him harder questions, because sometimes it's like, yep, blah, like, come on, hit me with something harder. You should be driving me as a leader. But yeah, that's the courtyard. It's got Hacker there, and pretty much it's like a mini campus. So you can go and get free ice cream, get your hair cut for free. There is a bank, you don't get free money, but you can bank stuff. So you don't have to leave work pretty much. And people do. They stay there really long hours because everything they need is right there, and they make it as fun as possible. That's Facebook as well, just places to hang out and work. We don't really have any old buildings like this that we can make cool spaces like that on the Sunshine Coast, so we're too new. This is Google. That's actually Sydney. I go to the Google offices in Sydney quite a lot, and that's Sydney as well. But just to give you an idea of fun spaces that these guys have, and that's another example of a Lego wall inside an office. I've already said that, but emphasis, digital literacy is the new financial literacy. If you don't have it, you will be at a distinct disadvantage to other people. So get your skills up really high in that space. Can't emphasise it enough. Look, I do have a book. I've got a couple of copies here. I'm happy to even give one away, Karen, if you like. So lots of people ask me lots of stuff about business and about digital and technology and stuff. I've ended up just downloading my brain into this book. The main target market I wrote it for were parents and influencers of children, so teachers and principals and career advisors, people who influence children, because I want them to understand that they need to get their digital skills up. Because what I find is a lot of young people have digital skills, but just to go on games and do basic stuff. to actually work and have those skills and work at a really high level and run businesses and run them successfully and market them. They don't necessarily have those skills. So there's 500 websites and apps in there that I think everybody should know and use. Just wanted to mention, if you guys are entrepreneurial types, you should absolutely get involved with startup weekends. So this was the first one on the Sunshine Coast in May. I've been part of about 3 startup weekends now on the Gold Coast and Sunshine Coast and Brisbane as well. So pretty much you can take a business idea and you get up on the Friday night and you pitch it and you say to people, this is what I want to do, inside a minute. So even that is really good practice to be able to stand up and articulate it inside a minute. After that, we have big pieces of paper and Post-its, and everyone in the room gets 3 votes on which ideas they like the most. The ones with the most votes, the top 10, they get to pitch again and then say, what do you need? So I need a marketing person because I'm good at technical but I can't market, etc. You form a team, and then over a weekend you actually create a business. It's really cool, and you'll be amazed at what these people can create inside a weekend. Like, there literally is a website and sales and investors and all sorts. And it's I go and donate my time. This is how I support entrepreneurialism on the coast, as I go along to these weekends and mentor. And either go and pitch an idea, or go and be a part of a team, or just go on the Friday night to hear ideas and the Sunday night to hear the finished products, because you'll be so inspired. It's such a cool thing. So yeah, again, Silicon Coast you'll hear about when those events coming up, I think about May. There's Rio up here, his team got second, and that's Lily, she's 11. She was the leader of the team, it was her idea, and they got second at that. Pretty cool. So it doesn't matter if you're young, you can totally do it. So yeah, I hope I've given you some ideas today of how you can create your own opportunities. I'll stick around for a bit, I'm happy to answer questions if you like. But yeah, please join that Silicon Coast Facebook group, keep in touch about your businesses and how we can help you. And I know Karen does a great job and offers lots of support as well. But best of luck, and I think it's so awesome that you're all in business. Well done, you.